that negative self-talk that used to like go on all day is really quieted down. So you have more internal peace and external peace connected with yourself and connected with other people. Hi there, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Wing Podcast. I'm Anabell Ingleton. I'm your host, and this is episode number 86, and we're talking about the benefits of healing from the effects of trauma. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but as I was looking over my podcast planning schedule recently, I realized that I don't. I tend to stay a lot in, there's like these 4 stages of awareness that as a marketer or as an entrepreneur, you have to be aware of. I teach this to my coaches, and I tend to live in the first 2 a lot, but I'm only in the other ones when I'm in a launch. And I should stay in all of them pretty equally, but I tend to not. And I was just realizing that when I was kind of doing my podcast planning, because now, oh my gosh, I've given myself the most amazing gift of hiring a podcast editor. Her name is Jay. I call her Jay. And it is probably the best investment I have made in such a long time. Like, let me think. What's something that I bought recently that I really liked and that I got excited about? And I have to say, I got a new assistant. She's like a really valuable investment, but the podcast editing is like a game changer. I have to say, like, I'm so excited about it, like beyond, because not only does it force me, or I'm not going to say force, it keeps me. I have to have to create a lot of boundaries, and requires that I have to plan ahead of time. And I'm batch recording my podcast episodes now. So the past couple episodes that you've heard, I did them all in one day. And I did 2 in one day, and then I did 2 another day. And so what's great is it is creating so much space for me. Like, some people think that systems are bad, like boundaries are bad, because it does affect you in a lot of ways. And we're going to do an episode on boundaries next month in November. And because it puts restraints on you. It makes you accountable. It does a lot. It takes, like, there's limits. You can't go do certain things. But in business, this is a thing that a lot of people don't like to do, because it requires you to think and not necessarily do. And again, if you're somebody that's an entrepreneur, you probably get this. So with hiring Jay, what I had to do was I have to like batch record. And so I have to plan ahead of time, and then just record all my podcast episodes in one day or in like a big sitting. But with a podcast episode, guys, I don't just like sit here and talk. Like, I have to really plan. Like, I have to, because what I do with my podcast episodes is I create all of my content from those podcast episodes. So one of these days I'll share like my process. If you guys are interested, let me know, because it's really great and it's really efficient. But I have to plan each of my episodes so that I can create a lot of content from each episode. So it forces me. So if I make 4 episodes in one sitting, it's a lot of work that I'm doing behind the scenes just to record one, so that I can make sure a bunch of videos come from one podcast episode, a bunch of content comes from one episode, a bunch of small form micro videos come from one episode. I mean, it's a lot. But I have to say, the freedom it's actually created for me, like this week, it was so funny. Normally Mondays are like my day that I'm like, I only have one client on Mondays, and it's like my admin marketing day, and I'm doing a lot of stuff. And this week on the Monday that I normally would like be running around doing a bunch of my stuff for like the podcast, it was so slow. I didn't even know what to do with myself. It was so beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm like investing this gift into my business and into my personal life, because boundaries actually give you more space. They don't take away space. So I can't wait to give you guys that episode next month, because it's really valuable when I explain what boundaries do. So the episodes are sounding great. There's new intros. You guys probably noticed that they're sounding different. I have a podcast, like a mid-roll, it's called an ad, like in the middle, and all the things. And it's just great. I'm just so excited. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope you guys are liking the the new format, I want to say. It's not really that big of a difference, except for there's like a different intro and there's going to be an ad for like my podcast, my coaching programs, I should say. So this is good stuff to celebrate. All that to say, these are the benefits of healing trauma. No, just kidding. It is actually one of the benefits, but I digress. So you guys are listening to this episode. It's like mid-October. Halloween's coming up soon. Hope you guys are doing all the things that are getting you ready for a fun Halloween. If you celebrate it, some people don't. My kids and I, we go to our church, our local church. And we have an event called Trunk or Treat, and the church puts on the most amazing event each year. That's what we do every year. It's safe. We're praising the Lord. We're getting candy. We're having fun. And, that's what we do every year. And this year, my daughter, Alyssa, her grandma, Lisa, she's so sweet. She is hosting a car. She's like, the trunk or treat is what it is like the whole church sets up like these cars in the parking lot, and everybody has their trunk open and they decorate their trunk, and the kids just basically walk around. So they're safe at church, right? Everybody there is like people who go to the church, and you decorate your trunk and then you give out candy to all the kids. And so Alyssa's grandma is hosting a trunk. And so we're going to hang out with her. First, the kids are going to do their thing and get candy and eat and do all the things. And then we're going to go hang out with her. So I'm excited about that. So nothing better than mixing candy and God and fun and dressing up. And I don't know what I'm dressing up as this year. I still got to put that together. I know what the girls are going to be. We're getting those outfits together. Hopefully you guys will see pictures on Instagram or somewhere else. But that's what we're doing. So yeah, we're mid into October. And I love October, guys. October is one of my most favorite months of the year. I forget about this because I really like the summer. I talk about the summer a lot, but I really do like October because it's fall starts. Fall's already underway. It's getting cold. We're wearing all the cozy clothes again. I might still have a tan left over from summer, but I love fall. Like, oh my gosh, I have to say the older I get, I think I like fall more than I like summer. Summer used to be my fave. I think I like fall more. And one of my favorite songs, like my top 5 songs, is this song called October Sky by my friend Javier. And I'm going to link it because it is the most beautiful song. I'm going to link it here in the show notes. Let's see if Jay puts it in there for you guys. And it's such a beautiful song. It's Roy Hargrove is playing the trumpet in it. Javier is singing his voice off, and it is a beautiful song. Anyway, all that to say is that it reminds me of like the big, beautiful pink skies that come from October. Like there's just beautiful sunsets. I don't know. Or maybe it's just like my brain has this like really idealistic view of October, but I love it. I really do like it. And I don't really care for Halloween, but I just like fall. It's getting cold. It's getting cozy. We're doing all the things. And I get to use my fireplace. Come on now. All right, guys. Oh, also, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw this a couple weeks ago, but I shared with you guys that I am giving up alcohol again. This is just something that I think is really, it's on my heart. It's been on my heart for a couple months now. And I love all the work that I was able to do last year when I gave up alcohol last November. I gave it up for 96 days and I'm doing it again. And listen, it might be permanent. I don't know. I'm not going to think that far into it. I'm going to take it like one day at a time, but I know that it's been on my heart to give it up. So let me explain to you guys what I mean by that. Giving up alcohol for me creates a space where I'm clear. I'm very focused. I'm not coping with alcohol. And I don't think that I use alcohol to cope anymore the way I used to a year ago. Your girl was like in it. I was drinking a bottle of wine a day. I mean, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I wonder, have I done a podcast episode on it? I think I did. I don't remember if I did. I think I did. If we did, I'm going to link it up here in the show notes. But I think I did a podcast episode of why I gave up alcohol. But it just, when you drink, when you have like a coping mechanism, when there's something that you use externally that helps you deal with your internal pain, or physical pain or mental pain, right? Emotional, any type of internal distress, it numbs that pain, the emotion. And what happens is you suppress it, you bury it down, and you're not allowing yourself to process the pain like you're supposed to. Like emotions are supposed to come up and then we process them. And when you're drinking or smoking or sexing or shopping or spending or all the things, eating, when you're coping with some type of external factor, you're not dealing with the pain. And when you stop it, it feels very uncomfortable. I will tell you that. I don't think that like giving up a coping mechanism or something that really helps you numb, soothe, or distract yourself is easy. It's not easy. It's simple. It's not easy. But it does give you room to deal with the pain and process it and heal. And it brought me giving up alcohol last year. I would not be where I am right now if I didn't give it up last year. And I have to say, it was such a great experience, hard, but amazing. It brought me to a whole different level of healing. And I'm doing it again. And I don't know what this is gonna, because I'm barely, I have a cocktail here and there. So I don't know what it's gonna do for me this year, but I'm gonna keep you guys updated because I love staying accountable to anything that I'm doing. It's not that I'm like out there with all of my stuff, you guys. I do keep a lot to myself, but things like this, I do want to stay accountable to because I think it's important. That it's one thing to keep myself accountable, but it's another thing to let people know. And then if people see you, they'll be like, girl, you said you wasn't drinking and look at you over here drinking. So I'm all about it. So I'll let you guys know how this goes, but I'm excited. All right. So let's get to the podcast episode. Look, I normally don't do that much of a little intro and share all the things, but there was a lot on my brain that I think I needed to take it off with you guys. So let's get to the podcast. So we're going to talk about the benefits of healing trauma. I could talk about this for about 7 days straight and make it a 142-hour podcast episode, but I'm going to keep it short because I think you guys, most people, if you're listening to this podcast episode, you know what the benefits could be. And that's why you're listening to this, because you want to heal, because you're feeling like crap and you don't want to feel like crap. So one of the benefits is you don't feel like crap. One of the benefits of healing trauma is you're not feeling all the emotional pain, but I want to get really specific. So the way healing looks for me is going to be really different than healing looks for you. Here's why. Everybody comes to this place with just different symptoms or different effects of trauma. So, and by the effects that you have, you're going to typically you swing the opposite way, ideally, or you what I call you overcorrect, and then you get to the middle and you have a little bit of a balance. But so I'm going to give you guys an example. So depending on the issues that created the effects of trauma in your life, and depending on what were your maladaptive behaviors, like the things that you had to do to adapt to the world after those experiences, and what your emotions you've been feeling, that's going to depend on how your healing looks. Okay. So for example, I have clients who come to this work saying, Anabell, I am so introverted. I don't like people. People scare me. I don't want to be around them. I don't feel safe around people. I avoid people at all costs. I don't want to be in a romantic relationship. I don't want to be vulnerable with them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to express my emotions. I don't want to express my words. I don't want to be near them physically. I want to just stay in my room, in my little shell, under the blankets, and I feel better because I feel safe that way. So that kind of a person, if you can see their symptoms, so to speak, their symptomology, I look at everybody through like a symptom lens, right? I look at everybody through like a trauma-informed lens. So when someone shows up to me, like as a client, when they show up to me, they are presenting in a certain way and I'm assessing where they're at. People tend to be more outward and a little bit more prone to be anxious. So I call it more in their chaos. They tend to be more rigid or more avoidant, or they can be on the spectrum of both. So they can have a little bit of more disorganized and they just like swing back and forth. And depending on how their symptoms are, I know how to treat them accordingly or how to help them accordingly, right? And what we need to do to heal. So if someone shows up as this more avoided, more, I want to hide, I don't want to show up, I don't want to be out in the world, I don't want to be on Instagram, I don't want to show my pictures, I don't want to be on video, I don't want to get close to people, they're more in their rigid side of a lack of integration, right? They protect themselves. They want to hide. The world doesn't feel safe to them. And so the way that they've adapted to the world is they protect themselves and they stay more isolated, and they're not more prone to be socially connected. So for them, what healing would look like is them being able to be close to people, to be more connected with people, to feel safe, to be vulnerable, to feel safe to express themselves, to feel safe to physically be closer to people, to be in romantic relationships, to maybe make love to people, hold hands, just be more literally more expressive, right? More out, not inside. They want to be more outside because they're more quote unquote introverted. This is what people call their personality style. I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. No, you're more avoidant or you're more anxious. That's what I always explain to people. The world has classified everybody as personality types and attachment styles and all these things. And it's like, no, you're a symptom of all your past experiences, which is great. It's not good or bad. I'm not saying someone's like, you're always walking around and you're like unhealthy, but you present the way you are now because of what you've experienced, right? So when I have those clients that tend to be more rigid and they're more avoidant, my goal with them is to get them more willing to and feel safe to be with people and be more extroverted. So they might be really closed off, even like the way they dress or how they live, the hobbies they do, the way they talk to people, their voice, the way their facial expressions, the way they do their hair and makeup. I mean, it literally penetrates every area of their life, right? If you're more isolated. So for them, their healing would look like being more outgoing, spending time with people, maybe being a little bit more expressive in the way they look or dress or talk to people, making connections, feeling safe with others, right? So that's what their healing looks like. I want to give you guys an example of my healing. And I was the complete opposite. I was really freaking out there. I didn't get a lot of love and attention and connection and things that I felt I needed when I was younger. So I adapted to that environment by trying to find this love and connection. And the way that I tried to find it was, and I found that I found it. Did that make sense? Yeah, it did, right? I found that I received attention and love and connection by putting myself out there, and then I would get attention. So, but what did that look like? It was in a healthy way. I was doing my hair and my makeup all the time and dressing all like, tight dresses and pretty skirts and people saying that I look pretty in my body and being skinny and always dressing up and always wearing heels and just doing a lot, performing, producing, pleasing, sleeping with men, getting attention, never wanting to be alone, right? I always wanted to be with other people, being really extroverted, right? So for me, my healing was the complete opposite of the first example that I gave. It was stepping back, being more quiet, being alone, being able to be alone. That freaked me the F out. Ooh, that's why when I thought about this episode, I was thinking about how when I was alone, I would get so lonely. I'd feel so anxious that I would drink and it would numb me and I'd feel better. But then the drinking was causing tons of other freaking issues in my life, right? So for me, being alone, that's healing, being able to like manage and being like, even in my fear of being alone, realizing that it was safe to be by myself and doing all the work to be okay with that, regulating myself through that. It was being okay showing up in the world, not being all done up to the nines, wearing minimal makeup. Y'all know that for me, I do that 90% of the time. I am in like the most minimum 5-minute makeup every day. I love it. Let's see what else. Clothes. Like I used to be cleavage galore. Oh my gosh. I think back to all those days. Blech. Poor girl. But I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. So it's like dressing the way I want to dress and knowing that my worth isn't in my beauty or my body or sex or men or attention, right? So mine's really dialed back. And it's actually resting more, not doing and performing and producing a lot, because I got a lot of my worth too when I got affirmed for being smart or making money or doing this. So mine is like working less, resting more. And listen, guys, I know that sounds like weird, like how is that your healing? But it is when your identity is attached to, like, you get a lot of safety and control, which was for me. I got that from producing and performing and pleasing. Healing for me looked the opposite. It wasn't performing. It wasn't producing. It wasn't people pleasing. It wasn't this perfectionistic style. It's things can be messy. Ooh, that was so hard for me. Showing up messy felt so hard, especially in my business. So hard, but I did it. So for me, that's what my healing looked like. Less makeup, simple clothes, flats, not wearing heels. Oh my God, literally, that sounds so weird, right? Wearing flats was healing. It is. Everyone's different, guys. But I tend to be kind of disorganized in a lot of my ways. I tend to be really anxious in certain areas of my life and really avoidant in certain areas. So healing in one area looked like one thing. Healing in one area looked like another thing. Like you could be more anxious in one and be more avoidant in the other. So it just depends on what your adaptations are, what you learned from your past, what your adaptive behaviors were, and then your healing tends to be the opposite. And we don't want to go like completely over to the right if we were on the left, right? If we were like totally avoidant, we don't want to go always being with people all the time. That's like too much of an overcorrection. We want to balance it, right? There needs to be some balance in the middle. It's like more harmony. You in and out, right and left, right? You get to do both. Integration is like, I call it the river of integration. Dr. Siegel calls it that. You're floating in the middle. Chaos is on one side, rigidity is on the other, and you're able to like just chill in the middle. And if your boat goes a little to chaos, which is a little bit more anxious, you just get over to the right a little bit. If you go more to rigidity, you go over to the left, and you just kind of balance that. And because maybe both extremes, and we don't want to be so extreme. I've talked about this before, being on the beach, right? When you are so rigid that when you go to the beach, like this is an introvert, so to speak, like the avoidant, you're on the sand in sweats and a sweater and tennis shoes and a hat under the umbrella, don't even want to be near anybody and just sitting in the sand, don't want to get in the water, sitting there with your arms crossed, super rigid, right? Controlling. And being more in chaos would be being in the water all the way into the sea where you're like almost drowning and the waves are taking you over. That's way too deep. You want to be like on the shore, right? Splashing in the water, getting in, getting out, playing, resting, getting in, playing in the sand, making some sand castles, eating lunch, splashing around in the water, doing all the things, getting in the water, but coming out. That's integration. You're floating in the middle. You don't want to be on either end. That's what healing looks like, being able to be flexible and adaptive to any situation. So I love what Dr. Siegel uses is the FACES flow of integration. And it stands for, it's an acronym for FACES, FACES. And it stands for flexible. You're more flexible. You are adaptive. You're coherent. So logically connected to the world. Everything makes sense and adds up. You're energized and you're stable. So you're not just like down and shut down. You're stable, meaning consistent, right? Like there's like you have a good foundation. It's not all chaotic. You have energy. Everything makes sense and everything is connected, and you do this because you do that, and this goes here and that goes there. You have, you're adaptive. You can go with any situation. And if you go here, then you can adapt to the situation. If something bad happens, you can adapt. And you're flexible, where if people say, let's go here, you're like, okay, cool. You can be flexible. You're not really rigid. So that's what Dr. Siegel talks about when it comes to being in integration. To me, that's healing. That's what wellness is as well. That's how I classify it. I want to see in my clients, are you in the FACES flow? Also, do you have the characteristics that your higher self has, which is the 8 C's, which is clarity, connectedness, compassion, courage, confidence, curiosity. I forgot curiosity. I love curiosity. It's like my favorite one. Creativity and calmness. So when you're feeling those 8 traits of self-leadership, that's when you're in your highest self. That's when you're in wellness. That's when you're in integration. That's when you're flexible and adaptive. That's how you know you're really in your deeper healing, or you spend more time there. You're not in that all the time, guys. Like, to be perfectly calm and creative and connected and confident and courageous and curious, like, come on. I mean, ideally, we all want to live there, right? But you can have those attributes a lot of the time. When you're feeling at least 1 or 2 of those, when you're feeling really confident and you're in self, it's like, oh, great. You're feeling the traits of the higher self of integration. Some other ways, let me talk about the things that I think I hear my clients say that they are the benefits that they're experiencing from healing. So I always talk about the 9 things that you need to do in order to heal, right? The effects of trauma. But when we talk about clearly what you know is happening when you heal, when you're doing the work, is you understand your past, you understand it very logically and with calmness and with like peace and understanding. You understand all the beliefs and things that were created from your past. Your memories are like logically connected, and you understand what happened from beginning to end for the most part of like your past, everything from when you were born to now. It's connected really logically. Your brain and your body are speaking to each other and they're linked up really well. So your brain can soothe your body. You have emotional regulation. And you also, your right and left brain hemispheres are connected really well. So those are speaking to each other. So you're in your feelings, but you're also able to think very well. You're in your like list making, literal, logical side, but you also are very in your emotional and more holistic, creative side. Okay. Emotional side. So that's what the benefits of healing are. But from that place, like, what can you create when you are feeling all those things? Like, yeah, your brain and your body are linked up, and your right and your left brain hemispheres are linked up, and you understand your past and you process them. And okay, so what about that? Well, come on, guys, so many good things. So what people tell me they feel the most is like emotional peace and control. They can manage their emotions really well, which means they can manage their emotions with themselves and with other people, which means they're more receptive to people. They're not reactive, which means their relationships are healthier. Even their relationship with themselves feels really healthy, meaning that negative self-talk that used to like go on all day is really quieted down. So you have more internal peace and external peace connected with yourself and connected with other people. That alone, guys, listen, if someone told me that that's all I'm going to get from healing, sign me up. Sign me the F up. Like, that's all I need. That's just one thing, one big thing that's really beautiful that comes from it. The second big thing that I think that comes from it is healing the effects or healing generational trauma. Stopping it with you so that if you have children or anybody that you're around, it doesn't keep on happening. Because if it stops with you and you have children, you're not going to be treating your husband or partner this way or wife this way. You're not going to be treating your kids from the way that maybe your parents did with you. And the cycle stops. That's it. That's enough, right? There's more. You're able to, because you're calm and you're flexible and adaptive and wise and all these great things, right? You're able to be really resourceful because you have your brain online more. You have more capacity to use it. You're using it more strategically. You literally feel smarter. You feel wiser. You are more resourceful. You're able to be more creative because you're thinking of your brain more, and because you're thinking of your emotions too, not just like it's your logical brain and your emotional brain. You have more of those childlike tendencies to like have fun and play and laugh and joke and dance and do all the fun things and explore all the great things that kids do. Like, do you ever watch kids and you're just like, I wish I could be that way again? Well, we lose a lot of that when we're freaking hypervigilant and scared, right? So you get back to so much of those beautiful childlike things that you did when you were a young kid. And listen, some of us didn't even get that because we were in such a like maybe neglectful, non-supportive, abusive unstable place when we were younger. So how great is it that you can even like relive your childhood or have a different, like you can have your childhood as an adult and you got money. Imagine being a kid with money. Like that's what it's like, you guys. Like that's, oh my God, that's such a fun way of looking at healing. You are like an adult, but you're childlike and you're fun and you're safe and you have a bank account. You have access to things that like a child, imagine if you give a child $100, what are they going to go do? They're going to go buy freaking candy and toys and movies and games and have like go to Disneyland. They're going to do something really fun. Like that's how you feel when you've done a lot of this work, when you're really in your integration, because you're in the state of social engagement, of social, like social connectedness, that ventral vagal state on the polyvagal ladder. And you just feel really safe to be fun and you don't feel like insecure. You feel really confident. You don't care what people think. You just feel really safe. And so that feels even better than breaking generational trauma, if you ask me. Oh my gosh. But that is really, really fun. I know that I'm way more fun. Like I remember I used to be so freaking rigid. My ex-husband he would be putting music on with the kids and they'd be dancing and I would come downstairs and I would like like he'd have the lights off and they'd have like glow sticks, literally having a fun time. And I was so like in my crap, in my trauma, literally in the devil, and would turn the lights on, put the music down and be like, what are you guys doing? And oh my God, I think back, I mean, I did that once, but I just think back about doing that. I'm like, how horrible was I? But I didn't know. I was in so much pain. I couldn't allow other people to have fun. Now I have dance parties with my daughters all the time. We're like playing puzzles and games and getting our like dress. I mean, we just have such a good time. It is such a great place to be in. Imagine being able to do that with your kiddos, guys. If you're somebody who's a mom or don't have kids and you're looking forward, you want to do things like that, like this is available to you. It's so amazing. Let's see what else. Wisdom. You have access to more wisdom. You're in that flow state. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're creative, if you're a salesperson, if you have your own business, you access way more flow and you get energized from your work. You do work that's more energizing. You're not going to do work that feels like crap. You're going to be in a job that feels crappy and you're going to be like, this ain't for me. I'm connected to Jesus. I deserve the best. Where am I going to go? I could be anything. What am I going to do? People are starting businesses. They're serving the world. This happens so often. This is why I have so many clients that once they do the work, they want to be coaches because they're like, this is so amazing. I need to help other people do this too. And then the next thing is you make a lot of money because you realize your worth, like your value, like you're connected to God and you're the son or daughter of a king or the universe and whatever you subscribe to. And you know your worth and we don't give no discounts, boo. We raise our prices. You make a lot more money. You'll invest. You get more strategic. And knowing that when you know you're worth more, girl, you are boundaried up. You don't give discounts. You don't sell yourself short. You have a lot of value. You believe you're high value. So you don't settle for a lot. You don't settle for crap. Bad stuff, I mean, it's not from this elitist, like, I'm better than everybody place. It's not like that. It's a very humble, beautiful, empathetic place. And so your money is good. It's so amazing. So imagine being able to build that financial legacy for your family. It's so beautiful. Confidence and compassion with others. I think compassion is so huge, and curiosity, like when I mentioned earlier, having that receptivity, the ability to be receptive to people instead of reactive. When you're in survival mode, guys, when you're in stress responses, you are literally in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you are acting for this moment right now. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're very present moment focused. And you're like, what do I have to do to survive in this place? And you're only thinking about right now. So you're only thinking about survival. And when you're only thinking about right now, it's a very short-sightedness, really, if you think about it, because you're only thinking about this moment and what you have to do to get what you need. You're not thinking about tomorrow. So you're not even not only does that affect your relationships, only thinking about yourself. So you can come off as very selfish and defensiveness and on the offense, right? Like ready to go and fight. But also when it comes to your money and your life, you're not planning for the future because you're only thinking about today. when you are in that deeper healing, you're more in your thriving, not in surviving. You're thriving. You're thinking bigger. You're thinking of the future. You're not just thinking for the present moment. Oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain. I got to get drunk because I got to numb this out. No, you're like, tomorrow I have a big event. I got to be right for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go to church, so I can't get drunk on a Saturday. I got to be there for my family. No, today is Sunday. And even though I want to get drunk all day and watch football, even though I don't do that because I don't do sports, but some of y'all do. I want to go to the river. I don't know, whatever it is that you do. You want to just party because you're just thinking about right now because you're just in survival mode. You're like, I don't care. This is for me. And it's very selfish, but you mean well. The intention's beautiful. You're just trying to survive and think about yourself, but you give up a lot of future opportunities because you're only thinking about the present moment. You're in survival. You're not thriving. Thriving is when you're thriving, you're really bigger. You just have a bigger picture. Your lens is so much bigger. And have you guys heard that saying that happy people actually like make more money and they save money because they don't just think about today, they plan for tomorrow. And I found that my budgeting, my money stopped getting funny. And it's so helpful. Like your money, like the financial freedom that you can get from healing is so important. I can go on forever. The other things is you're able to like set boundaries. You're able to, because you know your worth, you're able to have more self-care, take care of yourself, your body, exercise, eat better, rest. You are living out your purpose and you're serving the world in whatever way you're doing it, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you have a career, whether you're serving a really great company, at church, you're really empathetic and you're more compassionate with the world, and you realize and you know that you're connected to everybody. Like you're you, but because you come from this higher place, everybody comes from that higher place, and you look at everybody with so much more compassion and empathy, and you realize you guys are all connected and you treat people really differently. It really makes you kinder, nicer. That receptivity is huge and makes you more open, and you're not as judgmental, and you're honest, you trust people. Oh, the trust factor is huge because you don't have this big guard up and you're like hyper vigilant and questioning people. You have the ability to trust others more. And when you trust people, when you believe the world is safe, when you feel safe in the world, how might you act and be? What might you believe about people if you feel like you trust yourself and you trust others? And you trust the world to like always be there for you, and that it's safe and that things are always like going to be good. It's huge, guys. It's such a game changer. Huge, huge, huge. I can go on forever, but these are the main things that I wanted to cover. So if this isn't enough of a reason for you to get your butt into Bloom and start doing the work with me, I don't know what is, but that's all I'm going to say. We're opening spots up in December. Get on the wait list here in the show notes. I'm going to say this every single time. Get on the wait list so you can start seeing all the great things that's happening in the group. Link is in the show notes. I'm opening up spots enrolling in December, and then we're starting the first week of January. So it's going to be good. So just a little less than 2 months that we're going to start enrolling people. And it's an amazing place to be. If you want to feel these beautiful benefits and the effects of healing and heal the effects of trauma, Bloom's for you. And if you're a woman, because it's only for women. I think I should make that clear. I don't know if there's guys listening to this. Sorry, guys. We need to get some guy coaches in here so they could hold this space for men. Right, guys? Oh my gosh. Listen, you guys can be a women coach and do this work for men. There's no reason why you can't. But I would love to work with some male coaches and help these men. Men need this work so much. Who wants to do this? Call me up, email me, please. Send me a DM on Instagram. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. As always, if this was good, share this episode with someone if you feel like it can serve them or help them. Leave me a review if you're listening to this in Apple Podcasts. I would love it. It helps other people find the podcast and just gets me up in the ranking. And if you want to join Bloom, click on the show notes, join the wait list so you're first to know when we're opening spots again, all right? So I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.